So that layman in his past video gave you a little gem. Lucifer is not the same as Satan. Lucifer is the light bringer, has free will. Satan is darkness, has no free will. Who steals Lucifer's free will? Well, as we've explained in the Bible, who allegedly created Lucifer and gave him no free will? The Jew God, Elohim, Adonai, Sabaoth, Yahweh, Tetragrammaton, Elohim. So, once a Neo allows the Jew God to see Lucifer, the architect consumes Agent Smith and turns Agent Smith into one of his agents, who is a walk-in of the architect and is simply a will-less shell which the Jew God inhabits. And that, without the light, darkness, loss of will, is called Satan. So once the Jesus, the Neo, has brought the source's illumination, down via Adam and Eve, and then we've got the serpent, Samael, and Leviathan, on which Samael rides, and then we've dragged it down to the strange attractor, which is this fuzzy bit here. Goes 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, the strange attractor. The eagle, from the rule of the Nagwal we talked about. Then this hidden bit, where Lucifer inhabits, is illuminated, and this white bit goes all the way out, consuming Lucifer and turning Lucifer into Satan, and consuming, like the eagle consumes those sparks of light and tans them, makes them matrix. Turns Lucifer into the shell of Lucifer without any free will, without any light, a being of utter darkness, will-less, automaton, called Satan. Have you ever heard that anywhere else? I do believe you did not. And of course, the agents that run the Matrix, or the Jew God's creation, of course, are the Rothschild, Rockefeller royal family. Why America is an evil place, cut off from the light, because the architect and its walk-in agents have total control over America and the West, because they print your money. And when they print your money, you have to pay them interest for printing the money, and they've got the IRS to take your money. This was created in 1913, when the Rothschilds, who are the owners of the Federal Reserve, think of them as the majority stakeholders, took over America. You can, there are endless videos on the Federal Reserve and how it was set up in 1913 and how the people against the Federal Reserve Acts were on the Titanic, which was blown up by explosive. But that's straying into geopolitical history, and we're just talking here about God technology. So, but as you can see, the reason why America has become satanic and lost its Luciferic light is due to the Rothschilds and of course the Rockefellers, their junior partners. Here we've got Jesus, Neo, who fights Agent Smith, Lucifer, and if he succeeds, then Lucifer becomes simply another agent. And here we've got our Neo Jesus, the Jew God's patsy that glimpses the source to bring back source information to the Jew God, fighting the agents, which are actually the Jew God. So you see the long con. This thing thinks it's fighting the Jew God, but in fact has been conned into going to see the source, to find the hidden aspect, which is Agent Smith, and come back to turn Agent Smith into these things. The agents, your archangels, your angels, your walk-ins, the Rothschild, Rockefeller royal family, walking obots that the Jew God inhabits, and which control totally the West via the Federal Reserve, Bank of England, Bank of International Settlements in Basel, the European Bank, and of course MI4 that control everything in the UK, and all the letter agencies in America, and all the deep state agencies in Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. All the empire of the Jew God architect. So this patsy was set up to be the Neo, the Jesus that would save the Jew God, and be the final solution, the 8th king of Edom, who would get rid of the Jew God's weakness, which always destroys it, that hidden part, which we call Lucifer, which then grows to form Amalek, the other god, consumes the Jew God, its creation and creatures, everything Jewish, and takes over the Jew God's universe, all described by rabbis in their Kabbalah, and the best explication is the 6-volume books in Hebrew by Isaac Deloria. But you can get a glimpse of it in A. Waite's Holy Kabbalah. So you need to get a friendly Orthodox rabbi to explain all of this to you. So you just go to your local place of Jewish worship and get your rabbi to explain to Goyim like you why the Jew creation and its God always are consumed by Amalek, the other god. Now, of course, this is a bit of a imposition to the Jew gods, so it wanted to set up the ultimate patsy, the ultimate idiot. This guy, Tim Refat, who was supposed to become the source in totality, and then of his own free will give this to the Jew god via the standard process, a Nagwal woman. So the Neo-Jesus can only give its sourceness to the Jew god, the eagle, which is devouring the awareness of all creatures. Via the Nagwal woman, women face the other way to men. Their assemblage point shines outwards towards chaos. Men's assemblage point points inwards. So think of it like the moon. One side's dark, one side's bright, and men's assemblage points, bright side points towards the source, females points towards chaos. So women are vital to the Jew god and chaos and Satan, and therefore Satan cannot exist without witches. Witches are the neos of the Jew god and create Satan. How? Well, they inveigle a man to copulate with a witch, which is a Nagwal woman. And what's the main power of a witch? Love spells. And she's got 4 compartments, 4 vector, so can then link up with the Higgs field, which comes from light, which is a 4 vector, to turn average human beings, which simply don't exist. They're matrix entities. That's the great thing about the matrix. Everyone in the matrix is not in the coffin. They are simply matrix entities. They are turned into things in the coffin by the Nagwal man transmitting to the Nagwal woman the reality into the matrix, pulling the 2 lobes, which are the matrix versions of humans, into being real. So the only real beings in creation are Nagwals. Everything else is simply a figment of the Nagwal's imagination. The Nagwal man gets the power to make things real, linking up with the source, the 4 vector will, and the female then downloads it to her imagination, her imaginary friends, who then manifest from the matrix as 2-lobed beings with an assemblage point. They shouldn't have an assemblage point. They're simply matrix scum that are made real via the only things of importance in all of creation, Nagwal men, who link up with the source, and Nagwal women, who make chaos's matrix real from sourceness. So, what happens when Neo, this Tim Refat stooge that's set up by the Jew god to not glimpse sourcehood, but to be allowed to merge with the source, to make sure the Jew god can see all Lucifers and turn all Lucifers into Satans, tells all Nagwal women, no, I'm not going to download my sources into you, but I'm going to hunt you down and feed off you as a vampire and suck you dry and shell all Nagwal women. All Nagwal women are there for me to consume and suck dry. Well, what happens then is that this Nagwal man, set up to be a Neo and Jesus, in fact a total Neo, a total Jesus by the Jew God, becomes Kalki. He's become full source, Vishnu, and is only bringing destruction to chaos because of one simple fact. Kalki's a king vampire, and all he does to Nagwal women is suck them dry, turn them into shells, and he turns all of the two-lobed matrix scum that were made real by sorcerers given to the Nagwal woman in the past, via other Neos, other Jesuses, giving it to Trinities, Mary Magdalenes. He sucks them dry because he's the king vampire, and simply sucks all of the sauceness that was given to them by these imbeciles, Neos and Jesuses, back into himself, in the process turning all of creation, the universe, into what it is, a matrix, taking back all the Higgs field, all the will force, all of the aliens and interdimensionals and human things become what they are, which is simply matrix imaginations of the ultimate Nagwal woman, and all of this is sucked into the Nagwal man, who has become the source and is the king vampire, feeding off all chaos, first by taking all the source stolen from the source back into the source, because he's the source, and then going into turning all chaos into a torture hell to produce new sourceness from the matrix, which is a whole technology that your imbecile Stone Age physicists and mathematicians couldn't even stumble on in a billion years because they've gone down the wrong path. But of course, Tim Refat, Kalki, the source, knows exactly all of this physics and maths because he knows everything. Why? He's the world expert on remote sensing, and whatever he doesn't know, he simply hoovers up and does know. That's the good thing about being the world expert on remote sensing. So who was the first Nagwal woman? Lilith. And of course she was the first wife of Adam, the first man, the first Nagwal man, and is the primordial she-demon. Why? Well, I explained it. This thing downloads sourceness into the matrix to make it real, and is vital for the Jew God to be able to see Lucifer, that always consumes it, turns it into a torture beast, torture hell, and everything it created is hellized, making Adamic revenants. So without her, the Nagwal woman, the Jew God is always consumed by Lucifer, who turns into the other god, Amalek. But with her, bringing sourceness from her idiot Nagwal man, who of course copulated with her, and she's infested with a Jew god called Samael the serpent, the architect. So yes, the Jew god is the serpent, and Lucifer could then be banished from heaven with all the archangels and angels that had been sourcized with the light via Lucifer because of Lilith and the first mug, Nagwal man, Adam. So the fall of Lucifer and his followers could never have occurred without the first Nagwal man, Adam, and the download of the sourceness into the Nagwal woman who gave it to the Jew god, the serpent, Samael, that rides on Leviathan. So, Samael is, this is wonderful. Samael is Satan. Samael is Lucifer turned into an agent by the Jew god that can now see it in the hidden part that was hidden until this Neo, Adam, gives the ability to find, and using Gödel's incompleteness theorem, simple maths, I know to you vermin, it's incomprehensible, but to physicists and mathematicians, Gödel's incompleteness theorem is quite easy to understand. Basically, every isolated system has a part of itself it can't see, but if external stimuli, external system brings in information to see the hidden part, and the hidden part's no longer hidden because the external, outside the system, outside that mathematical set of axioms, has allowed that system to become whole using Gödel's incompleteness theorem. So, that's why the Jew God created these vehicles, man with will, had to create them with will, because if they got will, they connected to the source. And then, of course, the man's linked to the source, climbs up to have a look, bites of the tree of apple tree of knowledge, which of course is sourceness, downloads it into the female. Leviathan's the architect, Satan is Lucifer, architectized, turned into the completed system, shelled, consumed by the architect, a la vampirism. So the architect is the, not the king vampire, but the stolen vampirism from the Nagwal man. Then, of course, the system's complete, Lucifer becomes Satan, and all's good. Until, of course, we have the butterfly effect, new anomalies. So then we need another Neo, another Adam, and another Lilith. They need to copulate with her being possessed by that part of Lucifer consumed by architect Samael riding on Leviathan, which of course is the architect. All makes sense now, does it not? But what happens when the Tim Refat, who's been allowed to become full source, comes back and is enticed by Nagwal women? Breed with me, have sex with me, give me babies. I'm possessed by Samael the serpent and Leviathan, the great worm, the behemoth, upon which I ride. And instead of which he goes, no, I'm going to suck you dry, I'm going to shell you and take everything I can from you into me, which is all the sourceness from these other vermin neo-Jesuses, Adams in the past, given to Liliths in the past, into myself. Why? Because I'm worth it, and I use L'Oreal. So you can see this final Nagwal man simply doesn't care about Nagwal women. Well, he does. They're there to be fed upon and tortured. So of course you can see my only predilection in sexual pursuits is BDSM. Anything else doesn't interest me. And of course, you can see now I never got married, never had children, and of course I've been hunting down Nagnal women across the planet, be they Sharon Stone or Kylie Minogue or Miley Cyrus, and we have the three-lone one, Katy Perry, and the final one, which of course you consume all the Nagnal women, which I've been doing a whole lifetime's worth. We had Dua, consumed. And others, I've just been hunting them down. Think of me as the Witchfinder General that sucks them dry. The King Vampire Witchfinder General. If it's a witch, I'm going to suck you dry and turn you into a shell. Turn you back into the Matrix. Until finally, I drove the first Nagnal woman, who of course has been reincarnating. Metempsychosis, to all of you occult aficionados, into its final body.